says I'm live. Like, why does YouTube want you horizontal? Everybody else wants you Facebook. Hey guys, Greg Medford from Medford Knife, MKT USA. What's going on? I got the two cameras next to each other so I can do this live on YouTube and Facebook. We'll put it up on InstaChimp later. What's going on? Like, I'd like to get an idea, just out of curiosity, how many of you are at work today, and how many of you are at home today? Me personally, I'm here at work. I can't even tell. There may be nobody there. It may be set up so that everybody is at work. They can watch YouTube, and when they're home, they don't want to be bothered. Hey, Keith Litz, what's up? Brett, hello. Tyler, what's going on? So clearly, Americans are still working. There's a bunch of people at home, but I just wanted to have like a live little chat today and talk about just some thoughts I was having. So if you're really into knives and you want to see all about knives, this is as much as you're going to see knife-wise today. Just here's a knife. Now head back to whatever you were doing if you don't want to talk any politics, because I'm getting ready to talk some politics. So, couple of things. I had somebody no-show for a job today. Like they just no-showed. They took a week of, they preemptively last week took a week for themselves to self-quarantine because a bunch of non-doctors have decided that's what they should do. They self-quarantined. And I'm gonna actually put this over here. And then a bunch of dumb politicians decided to ruin our country and quarantine the country, which is gonna turn out to be the scam of all times. But something is afoot. Something is amiss. Anyway, can you imagine in these times, in this uncertainty, just not showing up to work like you don't need to go anymore? I was like scratching my head about it because I'm thinking, like, I feel like I have this responsibility to buy from stores that are nearby and to keep all my suppliers fed with business and to keep the machine going, because I feel like everyone's freaking out. Except if you're doing some business and if you stay and you weather the storm and you be like the willow tree in the hurricane, you bend instead of being like the oak tree and snapping and falling into the sea. I think you bend. I think we'll weather the storm, and I'm trying to, like, with my own positive bullish attitude, I'm trying to get my countrymen and my people I do business with and everything, I'm trying to get them to feel comfortable that it's not the end of days, because I don't feel like it's the end of days. There's so much to unpack here that's kind of crazy. I have a lot of people say, "Oh, Greg, what do you think? It's a conspiracy?" I do not think the virus is a conspiracy. Coronavirus. I think that we've gotten too scared. I've been hugging people and shaking hands. I refuse to stop shaking hands and giving hugs to people. And it's funny, they hug me longer and brighten their smile when we shake hands. And then I hear all these queer baits talking about getting rid of handshaking. I mean, I'm a germaphobe, but there's something about the human contact that I think is good for us. So, long story short, I've been kind of swimming against the tide. I've been swimming against the tide my whole life. I've been swimming against the tide of Chinese exports, and everyone's waking up to it. It's like everyone woke up and found out China was evil, and I've been saying it for years. Well, Greg, you said it without any basis. I'm like, no. There was lots of indicators. I don't need an anemometer blowing in the wind when I see windsocks all flapping to the left to know the wind's coming from the right. Anyway, I heard the president say something today, and this has been niggling at me since this whole thing spooled up. Basically, he said the cure may be worse than the disease. And I gotta tell you, it's one of the most ballsy things I've heard someone, hey Tom, how you doing? It's one of the most ballsy things I've heard somebody say in public life in my in my kind of conscious of what's going on in the world life. He said the thing that everybody I know is whispering, the cure may be worse than the disease. The cure looks to me to be worse than the disease. When you evaporate a third of the value of the country in the stock market and in the contraction of the US economy and GDP, when you eliminate a third of it, people will die because of that. And I don't mean guys jumping out of buildings. There's an actuarial, economic, measurable impact to life. Prosperity and life are connected. And so what's happened here is, in the age of nut allergies, and you can't bring anything with any nut whatsoever because it could be airborne, even though there's no evidence, there's no example in American history of an airborne peanut allergy actually being real or affecting anyone. It's not even a real thing. We can't bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to school anymore. You can't bring peanuts. It's insane. The evidence by the fact that if an airborne peanut allergy were a problem, then it would mean people would be dropping dead on airplanes globally, which are filled with peanut dust in the seats. There's just, in a world that has gotten so afraid of everything, we've gotten so risk averse to everything. The government's the largest employer, and the people who work for the government are governmentalists. They're large organizationalists. They're globalists. They believe in the collective. They believe in the tenets of Marxism, and they live through them every single day, even if they bang themselves in the chest and have a flag up on the wall behind them. Globalists and big think is what's running this place. And at the end of the day, they're wrong. You know, we watch the Fed. The Fed's doing quantitative easing. The Fed's lowering interest rate. The Fed's buying up debt right now. The Fed's doing all of this stuff to try and persuade the market, and it's not helping. Everyone says, oh, the Fed needs to do more. And I go, the Fed's it's a directive tool. It's not a fixer. The market has decided this can't be fixed with monetary policy. When you've shut the country down, monetary policy doesn't matter. Monetary policy matters when everything's moving forward. When the ship is running true through the water, a small adjustment at the helm moves the rudder and your course changes over time. That's what the Fed's supposed to do. That's what the Fed can be a part of. That's what the Fed can influence. It's an economic tool for a little bit of nudge. But if the economic machine is just it's languid, it's just sitting dead in the water, then turning the rudder, no matter what you do, the market doesn't respond because it's not changing the direction. Our direction right now is sink. So I'm at work. I'm making it happen. I'm hustling. You know, my customers don't want to buy right now very much. I have a lot of what I would call pipeline, supply line purchases that we're working on, and that's what I'm keeping the company busy on. I've worked on I've got some big OEM projects that are now starting to come through the company, and those are adding a robust background of reliable work it's less mercurial than the marketplace. Of course, I've got my retail customers. We had a bunch of retail sales this weekend. Thank you very much. Business goes on, but I think it's important for everyone. This is one of those kind of coconut hit you in the head wake up moments as Americans where you need to take a close look at what you do for a living. And if they were able to shut you down just without much thought out of fear of safety, if they were able to send you home for 2 weeks or a month and you're still getting your paycheck or not getting your paycheck, Or if you got laid off your job because some politician, like they told me, hey, if there's cars in the parking lot, the government may come by and tell you to close down. And my answer is, if the government comes by and tells me to close down, I'll say, where is the statute you're here to enforce? When you have that, I'll talk to you. Until then, I'm a Second Amendment guy, and you need to go to the edge of my property and fuck right off. We're staying open. The city is not going to tell me to close down. I'm in compliance with OSHA and all my safety laws, and I'm here to do business. The city can't tell me no. And the state's not trying to right now. What they've done is they've taken non-essential people and they're crushing their lives. Hold on one second. My boy, I'm in the middle of a live video. Come here, boy. This is my son, Jack. He's out of school. Come here, get in frame so the guys on YouTube and Facebook can see it. Hey, guys, this is my son, Jack. How's it going, buddy?
Good.
What are you working on out there?
I'm working on a knife that's pretty expensive.
What model is this? He's building a knife.
Slim Mini.
It's a Slim Mini. Good. So, you guys, this is a really cool knife. Can I show it to the guys now?
Yeah.
So this screw right here is not tight, You hear it? So Jack's roughing this together. Looks like, did Casey say it's a good knife? He likes it? Cool. So Casey, my lead guy, this is an interesting knife, you guys. I'm going to focus on YouTube for a minute so you guys can see it. You'll see this has been hand engraved by a local engraver here in town. And I think he engraved the $20 bill on it. Yeah. So this one, he engraved a $20 bill on the side of the knife. This is all hand engraved. And what we're doing now, tell me, so Jack, get back over here. Tell me what you're up to now. You're roughing this together so we can see if it's a real knife, right?
Yes.
And does it look pretty good? You like it?
Yeah.
All right. Remember where when you find a loose one like this, you got to grab it from both sides and snug it down just a little bit. Or you may have the screws maybe touching in the middle and they can't squeeze down all the way, okay? I like it. It's a good looking knife, son. Pretty sexy. So while you're finishing putting it together, why don't you think about what color you think I ought to make it? I'll show you how to do that after you know it's all working, okay?
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go head back to the
Head back to assembly?
Yep.
All right, close my door, would you, boy?
Okay.
Thanks, pal. Love you.
See you.
All right.
I'll do the other one.
Okay, good. Thank you. I want to see them both. So, showing my boy how to make knives. He's down here working with my crew. It's tough with dad. You got a hypercritical dad like me. I might not be the best guy to teach my son, but my guys that have trained with me over the years, they can teach my son, and then he and I can interact. It's pretty fun. So this is a really nice hand engraved Slim Midi, actually. Well, what I was saying is, it's one of these things that when times like this happen, when this happened in '08 and the economy collapsed, I took a long, hard look in the mirror. I was an air show pilot at the time. I was flying old military aircraft doing performances at air shows. I was doing some stunt flying, and I was also, I was teaching martial arts. I was teaching Kempo and Jiu-Jitsu. And my world kind of crashed down around me, and I took a long, hard, I was going through one of those like reinvent yourself moments, and I had watching Glorious Bastards, and I saw Brad Pitt with that knife, and I get to Carnegie Hall, practice, 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 and he's carving that swastika in that Nazi's head. I was thinking about that. I wanted one of those knives. I started looking for the knives. I saw how much they were. I said, well, shit, man, I can make knives. So I said, well, I'm gonna make knives. So I drew a bunch of pictures, invited my buddies over, and said, hey, which knife do you like? Everybody liked a different knife. I said, okay, well, I got a knack for drawing knives, so I'll start making knives. I rented a building. That was like on a Wednesday. I rented a building on Friday. So I looked Thursday and Friday. I rented a building on Friday. I bought a grinder off the internet from Burger King on Thursday or Friday. I flew to Missouri on Tuesday, learned how to grind for 4 days, make tomahawks, do forge welding. I came back to Phoenix. My grinder showed up here in a box a few days later. First tool I bought was a Miller MIG welder so I could weld up my work tables. I welded up my tables for about 4 or 5 days. My grinder showed up. I bolted that to the floor, took all my drawings, went to a water jet guy, figured out how to cut out the parts, and next thing you know, I needed a heat treat oven. That showed up from Paragon. So I had my oven, I had my grinder, I had my benches. I emptied out my hangers of all of my tools and toolboxes that I had used to build airplanes over the years, of everything that was relevant for making knives. And I started making knives by hand. And I have number one and number two I made as practice, and everything else I sold from day one. I don't have anything left. That's the story about the company started. But that happened out of my misery of my little fun little life I had had being a stunt pilot and running a few martial arts schools that were Amy's and mine. And this necessity is the mother of invention. This ability as human beings, people say, if you ever hear that phrase, what separates man from the animal, or what separates man from the monkey? And they come up with all kinds of sayings, it's laughter, or it's love, or it's we smile, or it's really not any of those. It's really that we adapt. Adapting is the thing that differentiates us from everyone else. All the other species on the planet are not, they have to adapt biologically, they can't choose to adapt. So choice, the ability to choose to adapt, is one of the things that catapulted us to the top of the food chain. There's a bunch of little physical traits, but choice. And we choose to reinvent ourselves. So I would look at this time, we're going to go through an adjustment period here, because I think our leadership has failed us. Not only has our leadership failed us for the last 70 years, and they've routed the wealthiest, most prosperous, wonderful, the country the planet's ever even imagined. They've routed the wealth, they've routed the jobs, and they pitted us against one another. They failed us. And our current leadership is based on fear. The infrastructure of our government is based on fear and the fact that they have to take care of us because we can't take care of ourselves. I just don't believe in it. So, it's I feel like I'm duty bound, and I'm not in the Marines anymore, but my job is to serve. And to serve is to speak my truth and to do my me. And my truth will offend people. It's important we don't have our heads in the sand as our government. I think Trump he's allowing the ship to pull him in a direction that's hard to say no to. And it's hard to say out loud what I'm about to say, but he's starting to say it. And he may be the first one to fully say it in the public sphere, but it's this. If you watch War of the Worlds, what ended up saving us from the end of the world, or if you read War of the Worlds, what ends up saving us is 100,000 years or 1,000,000 years of biological defenses. If we waited to have the bicycle helmet to ride bicycles, we wouldn't have ever invented the bicycle. If we waited for aviation to be safe to start flying, we would have never flown. If going to space had to be safe beyond a reasonable doubt, we would have never gone to the moon. We would have never won a war. The slaves would have never been freed in any country if it was safe to do so. If it had to be safe to do so to do it. Slavery would still be here. Success is not safe. So they say there's two paradigms through which people kind of judge the world. One is on safety and one is on freedom. Hey Karen. And if that's a Karen, if that's a guy using Karen's phone, hey guy using Karen's phone. I just choose not to live life through the safety paradigm. It's just not part of my worldview. Success is the most important thing. To me and the people I love and the people around me, success is the most important overriding thing. It has to be. It can't be safety. If the safety officer on board a ship's number one concern is his safety, he can't do his job helping people evacuate into lifeboats. Have you ever seen lifeboats swing down and go off into sea? It's dangerous. Success is the most important thing. And if we shut down our country, which is the driving engine of the global economy, which feeds everyone, if we shut this down, we're going to be out of food. We're going to be out of regular medicine. We're going to be out of everything we live on. This interconnected globe of cooperation and competition is how we survive. Capitalism is the driving force of the globe. Every other form of government is sucking off the teat of success and success of capitalism. So we have to keep this machine going. It's unrelenting. We can't back off of this. Now, I've liked having a couple weeks off. The roads have been clear. I'm working, but the roads are clear. I don't need to go. There's no pressure to take the kids and go spend $4,000 at Disneyland. My kids aren't pressing me to go anywhere, do any adventure. They're just hanging around the house. They climbed the mountain behind the house. My boy and I cut up a cactus, did some yard work this weekend. We went walking around, hanging out with my family. It was great. So I think we ought to shut down 2 weeks every year. We ought to just build it in, and I mean fucking shut down nothing. It's fantastic. And then we can plan ahead and we all have toilet paper. But we've gotten, no peanuts in school, no fist fights anywhere, because God forbid anyone has to learn how to deal with altercations while they're young and it doesn't matter that much. When you're 7 years old, nobody can really knock your teeth out and hurt you that much. It's a great time for kids to learn about duking it out and do some conflict resolution and find out what a bad decision is and kind of work it all out. We've gotten so risk averse to everything. We have become a country of people afraid of everything. And what I see is a neurotic, irrational response to a disease. We put it off this year. It's not going away. It's going to come get us next year. And it's going to keep me the year afterwards. We need to get everybody infected. And what we needed to do is we needed to have a big orgy. The entire United States should have just gotten together and we should have had 1 week of just fucking and drinking. 2 weeks off, the president could have said, I need everyone to just go fucking and drinking. Just get it over with. Let's all catch it. And so we have 2/3 of us who've been exposed and now we have herd protection. And then the old amongst us, and if they want to get on the fucking too, I suppose they can. But then the college kids had it right down there in Florida. Their instincts have it better than their higher reasoning. A big, massive orgy, get us all fucking and drinking, and get it over with. And then we continue back on with life with some herd immunity. But our immunity inside of us is what's going to save us. Not the government, not the plan, not Trump, not Biden, not Clinton, not the Bushes, not the Democrats, not the Republicans, not the National Institute of Health, not the CDC, not the FDA. They're not going to save us. They're going to manage us and they're going to fuck it up. Those of you who've been in the military, you know what I mean. I've never seen good management in my whole life, public sector. Some funny shit. They're going to tank the global economy for a virus that, as the data gathers up, will be like a bad flu season. Everyone's going to really bark at me and talk all kinds of shit, especially folks who don't like who I vote for. They're going to talk all kinds of shit, and it will be fear. You'll hear fear in their voice. You'll hear hostility in their voice, and you'll hear ignorance in their argument, and you will hear the reasoning of sheeple. That's what you'll hear. So go to work, go shopping, eat out, hang out. People say, I have an old person in the house. How dare you, Greg Medford? My mom's a septenarian. She lives with me. I'm surrounded. Amy's parents are octogenarians. We have older people around us. Carlos, I don't disagree. These things are bad, but what's worse is collapsing the global economy. I think there are at-risk groups, and for sure, there are always at-risk groups, right? Poverty makes children an at-risk group for early mortality, and being pregnant makes you an at-risk group for everything. Somebody's always in an at-risk group. So anyways, I say we must be bold. I say that leadership is bold action, not fearful action. You know, if we were worried about risk when the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor, we'd all withdrawn and gone back to the farm. You know? There's never been any great thing that Americans have done that wasn't seriously putting people at risk. We wouldn't have ever settled the West. We wouldn't have crossed the ocean blue in 1492. We wouldn't have come here on the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and the Mayflower. We would have never left. We would have stayed under the divine right of kings because it's the safe choice. Guys, the life is the road less traveled. Anyway, these are my thoughts on this lovely Monday here in the day after my birthday, the 23rd of March, 2020, with my boy down here learning knife making. My daughter's painting a room. My wife's here hustling. My whole group's working. We had one no-show today who doesn't value his living. Hey, Gil. And everybody else, we're all working because we value a paycheck and we don't really trust the government that much. And I don't think the government's necessarily evil. I just don't think they collectively make good decisions about anything, almost ever. And I think their default is towards scaredy overreaction because they're afraid of making any mistake. So hang it out there. Hang it out there. It's okay. We have to let our countrymen know it. You know, I think we need to go to wakes and funerals more and be around some mortality and death a little bit more. And I think by doing that, we start to become comfortable in our own skin that is so temporary. You know, I happen to be an atheist. I'm not an atheist. I don't have faith in the non-God. I'm agnostic. I'm not religious. And I don't believe in the higher intellectual being puppeteering me. So I believe I really got to get it right the first time. I don't get a chance to come back and do this. And I go with my gut and I go with my intellect and how those two kind of have their dialogue. And my dialogue is telling me we're out of our fucking minds right now. This disease is everywhere. We're overreacting to it. And it is the globalist. It fits. I'm not saying the globalists are doing this to us. So there's no conspiracy going on. It just jives with them. Like, I think the globalists are like cannibals. And if someone said the cure is we just need to eat everybody, the cannibals would be like, oh, God, absolutely. Not like they came up with the plan. It just happens to fit their agenda. So the globalists, the leftists, the big governmentists, the power grabbers, the gun grabbers, the scaredy cat, peanut allergy, chicken shit cunt bags that are running the show. And they are the institution. Everybody. This just fits. I'm not saying they're contriving this, but the reaction they're having to it fits their agenda.
Are we doing the whole finish on this? Do you want me to put on the clip and do the finish? Or do you not want me to put the clip on yet?
I don't think you need to do a whole finish. I think once we agree that it's a good knife that we like, that doesn't need any more work, then we need to take it apart and get it ready for me to do a final clean, and then you and I will do the finish on it.
Jason Langston, Mom, and Jeff agreed that it's better silver because it reminds them of like a printing press.
They want it just like that?
Yeah, I think it looks good silver too.
You think so too?
Yeah. I think it looks a bit weird with the green.
With the what?
Green.
What green?
Um,
What I was gonna do is, I was thinking about facing it off and making it shiny and putting some bronze on it. What do you think?
really?
Yeah.
Bronze. Okay.
So I'm just thinking about some other colors. Just a thought. Ask them if they've got a black blade they could put in it. Just out of curiosity. Yeah. Ask your mom.
Okay.
Teaching my boy to make knives. So I just wanted to get on, and I'm saying out loud, and I've been saying it for a while. Like like I'm not a troglodyte. I'm pretty well read. I'm pretty schooled on socio-political, economic theory and observational history. I'm not dumb about this. I love when guys get on and say, they rail on me and they're mad. Usually I'm wearing a Trump hat. They get really mad and say how stupid I am and how wrong I am. And then when I talk to them, I find out they're really kind of ignoramuses. And they're completely not well read and usually have some sort of liberal arts degree. And they think that Walt Whitman, the fact that they maybe can quote Walt Whitman means they're smarter than me. They just haven't done their homework. I love liberal arts majors who boss me around and try to tell me how it is. It's pretty funny. They became liberal arts majors usually because they're shitty at math and bad at science. Like the two things that make the world go round. So then they get into liberal arts. What are you gonna do? I'm a philosophy major, for God's sake, but I chose it. So anyway, I think we just got to be careful that we just don't uncoil the entire. We can't uncoil the world for some danger and some risk. And it's dangerous being 70. It's dangerous going walking when you're 70. It's dangerous getting on a ladder when you're 70. It's more dangerous doing everything. And you know what? The people that are closer to the end of the mortal shuffle, the mortal coil, they're closer to the end of the shuffling. They're usually more comfortable with it. It's the 30, 40, 50-year-olds who are freaking out. Look at Trump. He's a 70-something, mid-70-year-old. He's not freaked out by it. Everyone needs to calm the fuck down. The cities are all stacked up on each other. You guys need to do something probably. You might want to be in some quarantine. You're also on top of each other. You might want to move out of the city. Well, anyways, I just want to throw a couple thoughts out there. It's not end of days. The country's going to do just fine. We got a weird period coming up here, and I'm trying to continue to do business with everybody. I'm reaching out to everybody, and I love how much people are thanking me for reaching out to them and telling them we're here. I think right now, while everyone's isolating, it's important to remember we are communal creatures. Spend a few minutes, reach out to your countrymen, the people you do business with. Let them know you're here for them. Don't hit them up for business or money unless you just need to. I'm not offering sales. I don't have any discounts. I'm not hustling anything other than we're here for you. If you need us, we're still working. There's a lot of work to do. And when the country gets this collective bullshit out of their system, in 90 days, we'll be all back to business trying to patch the world back together. I think human beings are like, getting humans to go to work is like getting a pigeon to fly. You got to kick them. Give them any excuse not to go to work. Music, woohoo, snow day, woohoo, it's break, woohoo, got to stay home with the kids. Any reason you can. About half of human beings will just pull the plug on their daily routine because they'd rather be goofing off anyways. I get it. It's okay. All right, Greg Medford, Medford Knife, MKT USA. Go to medforduniversity.com if you want to see kind of what our company's all about and what we do. I'm not online that much anymore, but I got a little extra bandwidth these days, and I decided to hop back online and just kind of do my rants and do my me and do my thing, speak my truth, and kind of let the cards fall where they will. I've always done that. And I've had so many of hundreds and hundreds of you reaching out with little fan mail and fan letters saying, hey, Greg, get back online. Get back online. So here I am to get in your craw. I'm going to sign off and get back to work. You guys have a wonderful day. Be safe out there. Don't sneeze on anybody. You know what? Just everything you need to know about this you learned in the 2nd grade. Sneeze in your elbow. Wash your hands all the time. Don't touch your face. I'm out.